the username and password is automatically filled in. So you can see the username, but the password, you can't see the password, but instead you have some asterisks or some stars displayed, just like in this screenshot. So the next demonstration is how do you convert these stars or asterisks into the actual password. So for this demonstration, I'm going to open up Mozilla Firefox and let me go to, say, facebook.com. This is the login screen. I type my username. Then I'm going to type my password. What should my password be? Maybe I will type AFCH12345. Now, if all of you look at the screen, you can see my username, which is Ankit Fadia, and you can see my password. But my password, you can't actually read it because instead of the actual password, you have the stars or the asterisks. So how do you convert those stars into the asterisks? So I'm going to quickly do a trick. Keep looking at the screen. I have bookmarked some JavaScript code. So I go into the bookmarks and I press this JavaScript code, which is retrieve password. I click on it, and if all of you look at the screen, the password is going to get displayed. So the password is AFCH12345. As simple as that. Just so that you know that I'm not cheating over here, let me type another password. The password I'm typing this time is Delhi123. So once again, I click on retrieve passwords, and within a few seconds, the password will hopefully get revealed. As you can clearly see, the password this time is Delhi123. So how do you convert the password stars or the password asterisks into the actual password? All you got to do is simply write down the simple JavaScript. It's obviously not that simple, but you can Google this. It's available freely on the internet. It's basically a JavaScript that allows you to retrieve the asterisk passwords or the password stars and convert them into the actual password. So up until now, we have discussed how to crack BIOS passwords, how to crack file and document type passwords, how to crack passwords of various applications like Google Talk, iTunes, Skype, and so on. Let us now actually get into a little bit more technical password cracking techniques. There is something known as MD5 hash algorithm. Now, this is actually a very interesting topic. When Windows 95 originally came out, or Windows 90, I think 95, 98, around that time, Windows, for the first time, started having Windows login passwords. So people could create an account on, say, Windows 95. Maybe your username was Ankit, and maybe you choose some password, right? So Microsoft faced this problem. They did not know where to save the Windows login passwords. So what they did was they created a new file format, a file extension called PWL. So PWL files became the password files of Windows. So essentially, if your username is Ankit, Microsoft Windows will create a file called ankit.pwl, and they will save it somewhere on your computer. And inside that PWL file, the password is stored. And initially, the password was being stored in plain text format. In other words, if I wanted to find out your password, all I needed to do was, on your computer, I would just do a quick search for PWL files, and the moment I find a PWL file whose name is your username, I can open it in Notepad and your password will get revealed. So there was no encryption being done on the password, and all the passwords were being stored in plain text format, which essentially meant there was no security at all. So the dilemma that Microsoft faced now was how to securely save these passwords. So what they started doing was, they started storing the passwords in encoded format using some hash algorithm. And various hash algorithms were used to encode passwords, and one of the very popular hash algorithms which is commonly used for encoding passwords is something called MD5 hash. MD5 hash. The full form of MD5 hash is Message Digest version 5 hash. So let me go back to the PowerPoint slides, and all of you look at the screen. Imagine that my plain text password or normal text password is Ankit Faria lives in Mumbai, India. Imagine that that is my password. Using MD5 hash, I can actually convert that into some encoded format. And the encoded format is also displayed on the screen, which in this case happens to be 544C800F3A something something. So that is what MD5 hash does. You give it some plain text password, and MD5 hash will convert that into a 32-digit or 32 characters long password, which is in encoded format. So regular passwords can easily be cracked. Instead, it is a much better idea to store passwords in difficult to reverse hash formats. The MD5 hash format or Message Digest hash format is a cryptographic hash function that creates a 128-bit hash value or 32 characters long hex number and stores the password in that encoded format. So in other words, no matter how long your actual password is, when you convert that into an MD5 hash, it will always be 32 characters long. So what is MD5 hash? It's basically an encoding format that converts your plain text password into an encoded password, and usually MD5 hash will be 32 characters long. So the original problem was how to securely save passwords. And the solution became you can use MD5 hash to store the passwords. Now there's a problem for the criminals. And the problem is how to crack MD5 hash. And the criminals came up with a very interesting website known as md5encryptor.com. md5encryptor.com. So let me quickly give a demonstration of this website to all of you. md5encryptor.com. So there are actually two websites. md5 encryptor. So let's wait for the website to get displayed. If all of you look at the screen, this is what md5encryptor.com looks like. And what this website essentially does is, it allows you to convert a plain text password into its actual MD5 encrypted version. So in this space provided, let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to type a password. Say the password is Ankit123. I'm going to retype this captcha, which in this case is just 138. And I'm going to click on the encrypt button. So within a few seconds, what will happen is this website md5encryptor.com will convert my plain text password into the actual password, into the MD5 hash password. So let me show this to you in a notepad file. I've just copied it and I'll paste it into notepad. So if all of you look at the screen, I'm still trying to copy it. This is what the password is. The normal text is Ankit123 and the MD5 hash is below it. Now let's assume that you did not know the normal password. You just found the MD5 hash password and you wanted to find out what the actual password is. So to crack MD5 hash, you gotta copy the MD5 hash and you gotta go to this website called md5decryptor.com. md5decryptor.com. And scroll down to this decrypting tool. Paste the password that you wish to crack. Write down the CAPTCHA code that you see on the screen. And click on the decrypt button. It's running a little bit slow, but normally within a few seconds, it will decode the MD5 hash and show you the actual plain text password. As you can clearly see, the website is now displayed. Let me zoom in and highlight the output for you. So within a matter of a few seconds, this website has successfully managed to decode the MD5 hash into the plain text password, and it has displayed the plain text password on the screen, which happens to be Ankit123. As simple as that. So MD5 decryptor and MD5 encryptor are very cool software which allow you to decode passwords that have been encrypted or encoded using the MD5 encoding. Now, just like this particular website, there's yet another website which I'd like to share with all of you. It's called tmto.org. tmto.org. Let me quickly open up this website for all of you. What tmto.org does is, it basically allows you to upload any kind of MD5 hash. It could be one hash or it could be a dump of various hashes, and in a matter of a few minutes it will decode the MD5 hash dump and show you the plain text passwords. The internet connection today is slightly slow, so you may have to bear with me while the websites get displayed on the screen. Let me just check if everything is fine with the connection. Yeah, google.com got displayed in like a second. So I guess there may be something wrong with the tmto.org website. So maybe we can skip it for the time being, but all of you can try it out later on. It kind of works just like md5decryptor.org. Now, while MD5 is commonly used for encoding passwords, MD5 checksum is another concept that is commonly used to ensure the authenticity of files that you download from the internet. A lot of websites which allow you to download files, they actually publish the MD5 checksum of their file on the website itself. So whenever you download a file from that website or from anywhere else, if you want to find out whether it's an authentic file or whether it may be a manipulated, infected file, all you got to do is, there's this software called WinMD5 Free. Win means Windows, MD5 Free. It's a free app where basically you open the app, select the downloaded file, it will perform a MD5 checksum on it and will display the checksum value on the screen. And you can compare that with the known checksum value that was published on the website of the application developer, and you can match the two to make sure that the file that you have downloaded is authentic and there is no issue with it. Similarly, there's another software called HashMyFiles that allows you to calculate the MD5 checksum for any file that you provided, and then it will verify the MD5 checksum for you. So let's take a step back for the time being. The original problem was how to securely save the passwords. The solution that the security company came up with was to use MD5 hash algorithm. Now there's a new problem for the hackers. And the problem was how to actually crack MD5 hash. So what they did was they came up with these online tools that managed to crack these software or manage to crack these hashing passwords. So what are these software called? What kind of attacks do these software use? So the type of attack that all the websites like tmto.org or MD5 Decryptor uses is actually a type of attack known as rainbow table attacks. Rainbow table attacks are actually very, very interesting because if you compare rainbow table attacks to brute force, in brute force attacks what happens is, one by one, you create every permutation and combination of the keyboard which is possible, and you try it as a password. So it's a very long, very processor intensive process, and it takes a very, very long time for it to actually happen. But rainbow table attacks are very quick because the rainbow table attacks essentially uses a database of pre-computed. In one column you have all permutation combination of the plain text password, and in the other column is the respective hash values. So imagine you already have all the possible permutation combinations of passwords written in one column of an Excel file, and the column next to it is the hash values of each and every one of those permutation combinations that are written in the first column. So that is what a rainbow table is all about. A rainbow table is essentially a pre-computed lookup table that contains a long list of plain text words and their respective hash values. The attacker will simply compare the captured hash of the password with the list of pre-computed hash values in the rainbow table. If there is a match, then the password is said to be cracked. If there is no match, then of course the password is not cracked. Rainbow tables make it easier and faster for criminals to crack the passwords stored in hashes. And they can lie anywhere between 500 MB to 100 GB in size. There's a website address that I mentioned on the screen where you can actually get a very good tutorial on rainbow tables if the concept is not clear to you. I'll give you a minute to copy that down. So typically imagine a rainbow table to be this extremely long, endless Excel file which has two different columns. The first column, as you can see, is various permutation combinations of the keyboard, but only the plain text passwords, not the encrypted ones. And the second column is the hash value of each entry. And imagine an endless list like that for every single permutation combination of the keyboard. So there's this very interesting website known as freerainbowtables.com. freerainbowtables.com, from where you can download rainbow tables for all kinds of various hash algorithms. So let me open up the website and show it to all of you. Website address is freerainbowtables.com. And you click on download. Or click on download tables rather. And if you notice, there are so many various rainbow tables that are available. So you have MD5 rainbow tables, and if you look at the sizes are anywhere between 200 GB to even 1000 GB, depending on the success rate of, or how comprehensive an attack you are planning. And the various hashes, you have NTLM rainbow hash, rainbow tables, then MySQL SHA1 rainbow tables, and MD5 rainbow